Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches, and today we have a great varied drop as always, and I want to start off by saying a big thank you. Every single week so far has been incredible considering it's a down market. We're selling very well, things keep flying out, we keep getting new watches in, we are priced to sell and we are priced fair, and I think people realise that, so thank you all very much, and I hope you've all been keeping well, and if you have been buying watches I hope you've been buying them for the right prices. If you are after a certain watch, do get in contact, let us know and we can certainly source one for you. If you're into the sort of hype Rolex, now's a good time to buy because the prices have definitely come down, especially on such models as the Batman and the Hawk and these kind of things. So get in contact today if you're after one of those. And as always, if you want to skip all the rambling, down in the description you will see a timestamp to each watch where you can skip to exactly that watch you want to have a closer look at. There'll also be a link to the website where you can purchase the watch. It's all nice, simple and relatively easy. We try and make it nice and streamlined. We are going to be doing a few different things going forward. We're trying to work on a few things behind the scenes. We have some new microphones incoming. There's a lot of stuff we're hoping to be able to do in the coming months. Now, we obviously buy and sell watches, that's our main focus and it always will be. However, we do want to provide more content on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, that kind of stuff. For those of you who don't know, we do have a TikTok. I don't run it personally, so I'm not quite sure what's on there, but it is our content, so you can go check it out if you're into that sort of thing and you're on TikTok. But yeah, so we are going to try and do more content, but obviously as we have so many watches coming in and so many watches going out, and you guys and girls booking the office pretty much full most days as of recently, so thank you all very much for that. We just don't have much time to do that, so who knows what the next person's role may be, but I suspect it will be something to do with video and marketing and all that kind of stuff, so we'll see. But that's enough of the rambling. Let's show what's on wrist. This is a watch that just came in today and one I am absolutely in love with. This one, as I speak right now, isn't for sale and won't be for sale, but who knows what will change in the future. But as of right now, this is something that's going to be staying in the personal collection, and it's an absolutely gorgeous Mido multi-4 datometer, super automatic as they call it, which features the automatic, I think it's caliber 917, which is a bumper automatic. Obviously, you got the pointer date around the outside, and this was introduced by Mido back in 1939, so right at the start of World War II, and went all the way into the 1950s. I date this one to be around the 1940s. It's in fantastic condition. I absolutely love it, and I think it looks great on my wrist, and I do love wearing a smaller watch, as you guys and girls often know. But that's enough of the rambling. Let's get on to the watches that are on the table. And the first one we're going to start with has actually just sold, so I do apologise. You're going to go over to the website and you're not going to be able to buy it, but let's talk about it nonetheless because we've got it here. And that is this gorgeous 36mm Rolex Datejust in blue. Let's take a closer look. Okay, what a watch to begin with, and you'll have to apologise if there is any excess noise. Right now we've got all the windows open because it is very hot in the office today, so I do apologise. But starting with the Rolex Datejust in blue in 36mm on the Jubilee with the concealed clasp and the white gold fluted bezel. For me, this is the epitome of the Rolex Datejust, and it's also the most perfect reference in the modern iteration, in my opinion. Personally, this ticks all the boxes, and the Datejust should always be 36mm. I am not a fan of the bigger sizes. I understand a lot of people have bigger wrists and therefore feel they need a bigger watch. However, I will say 36 has always been the traditional sizes, and there's guaranteed to be people out there with bigger wrists than you who wore a 36. So I would say you can totally get away with it, and it's also what you're used to. So I would consider one of these if you haven't already. But as I say, this one is already spoken for, so I do apologise. So what we have here is the reference 116234, and this is from August 2018. It does come with its full box and paperwork. As I say, original Jubilee bracelet, all links included, and concealed clasp. Now, for those of you who don't know what that means, you probably already figured it out, but it means the clasp is concealed. You don't see it. It's hidden underneath the Rolex coronet, and when you open it up, it's all right there, and obviously the standard plain case back as you'd expect. You probably saw this one still has a few stickers. The original owner very much looked after his watch and looks after his watches, which is great to see, because when he wants to sell, if he chooses to, it means we know we're getting a watch that's well looked after. So yeah, inside this is the automatic Rolex caliber 3135, a very famous movement that Rolex has used for quite a while now, and as I say, condition of this is fantastic, especially when you see that fluted bezel. It is gorgeous. and one of my favourites. I'd love to know down in the comments, what's your favourite of the modern Datejust references? Is it the Wimbledon or all those other ones, or is it something clean and classic like this? Let me know. But let's show some wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist. Now, as I say, 36mm is perfect. You really don't need a bigger watch than this, in my opinion, for the Datejust. I think that just looks so classy on everyone's wrist, and I really like it with the tattoos as well. I think it just works. But anyway, so this is, as I say, 36mm by 44mm lug to lug, only 11.5mm thick and 20mm lugs, so you can always throw it on a leather strap or a NATO, although the Jubilee bracelet, in my opinion, suits the watch perfectly. So go check out this gorgeous watch on the website. As I say, it's already gone though, so my apologies. From there, we have now finally got in one of the latest Speedmasters. We've seen many of them, but this is the first one we're actually getting to sell. This is the Sapphire Sandwich version. Let's take a closer look. And it's Speedmaster time, and finally one of the new references. This is the Sapphire Sandwich of the new Speedmaster Professional. What that means is you've got a sapphire caseback and a sapphire front, so it's more modern and not quite true to the traditional that was worn to the moon, because obviously that was Hesselite. I often get asked, why did they go with Hesselite over sapphire? And the reason being, sapphire, if smashed hard enough, shatters like glass. So you can imagine being in space and you're having loads of shards of glass floating around. That is not ideal at all. Whereas Hesselite, on the other hand, it cracks. It's like plastic, so therefore it's less likely to shatter into a million pieces and cause problems when floating around in space. So hopefully that answers that question. But the modern iteration, this has the updated manually wound caliber 3861, which is now a coaxial and Meta certified, whereas the older generation wasn't. It's also beautifully finished and looks incredible. Very similar to obviously the 1861 and the 861 and the 321. Obviously you go all the way back, Lamania base, but yeah, fantastic movement. A traditional case at the 42mm and the crown and pushers, everything is basically the same. There are some small subtle differences to the dial. I'll be honest, you don't really notice them in my opinion as much, but the one you definitely do notice is this bracelet. Now the bracelet has been upgraded massively and features this very heavy taper, which actually I'm not a huge fan of personally. I can see the appeal, but for me it tapers a bit too much, and it comes right the way down to this clasp, which is beautifully made and far higher quality than the previous generation. I wish there was still more adjustment to be had on the clasp, because you're still limited to just 2 holes right there, but it's better than nothing. And you know what, it is a very comfortable bracelet. Kind of reminds me like a Jubilee on the wrist. This one is from July 2021, and it does come with its full box and paperwork, and the watch is in fantastic condition, as you can see. So you're saving yourself a fair chunk of money on retail picking this one up, because the prices have certainly gone up. There is no question about it. Speedmasters are no longer relatively cheap chronographs. So yeah, go check this one out. But let's show on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist. It sits perfectly, and one real big plus to this bracelet over the old generation is the end link that comes straight down, so you can get a far better fit. The old one, if you remember, it's a male end link, I think they call it, where it sticks straight out and it's solid, you can't bend it, and it does protrude, whereas this one comes straight down and will fit much smaller wrists. As you can see, it slopes around my wrist beautifully. But what you're looking at is 42mm by 47mm lug to lug, only 13mm thick and 20mm lugs. So still endless options on that lug size. Thankfully, they didn't go with an awkward size, so go check it out on the website. So from the latest edition of the Speedmaster, let's take it right the way back to 1990 with this absolutely gorgeous reference. Let's take a close look at this one. After the modern Speedmaster, it's now time to go back in time to 1990 when this watch is from. This is the reference 1450022. A beautiful model in the same classic 42mm size, classic professional. Everything about it just screams classic Speedmaster. There's nothing about it that is really any different. But when you take a closer look, you'll see that dial, and you'll see down there stated is T Swiss made T, and the T stands for tritium for a lot of you guys and girls who know. So on that dial, you've got beautiful brown tritium on the dial, and it's aged gorgeously from 1990. So it's kind of crazy to think 32 years and this is what happens to tritium. Originally it would have been a nice bright white, and now it's this goldeny brown, which is gorgeous. The hands are service replacement hands from Omega at some point, so they are Luminova, so the loom doesn't match. But you know what, with the jet white hands and the jet white loom, it doesn't really matter that much in my opinion. It doesn't contrast massively to be a problem. If it was, for example, a Rolex with service hands, you do notice it a lot more because you've got a lot more loom in the hands, whereas these you don't. What you will notice is if it's a bright day like today and you go from outside into the dark, the hands will glow and the dial won't. So that's one thing to keep in mind if that bothers you. This model is, as I say, from circa 1990. It unfortunately doesn't come with any box paperwork or bracelet, but if you're after a classic Speedmaster and you wear it on a strap anyway, this is your opportunity to save yourself some money, because it is obviously cheaper than a watch that would be on a bracelet and a watch that has box and papers. So you can get all of the classic Speedmaster for a fraction of the cost. And we paired it on this watch gecko, which I think just looks fantastic. And it's also a testament to this watch because it looks great on pretty much anything. And that's what I love about the Speedmaster. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my wrist. As you can see, it's basically the same as the Speedmaster we just looked at. It wears beautifully on my wrist. And on a strap, I actually prefer the Speedmaster, to be honest. So even though I prefer the old bracelet to the new bracelet, I mean, I prefer certain things to the new bracelet, but in general, I prefer the old bracelet. I still would wear it on a strap anyway, so it makes zero difference to me personally. But what we're looking at is 42mm by 48mm lug to lug, 14mm thick and 20mm lug. So pretty much the same, but go check it out on the website and save yourself some money on a complete set and get all of the Speedmaster charm. From classics with the Datejust to the Speedmaster, let's switch gears to brands that are doing stuff very differently and really true to their own. Let's take a look at the Ming 17.09. As a famous DJ would say, we have another one. So this is that was terrible. This is the Ming 17.09 in Burgundy. We've had a few of these and we've had a few of the blue dials. They are all gorgeous and I do prefer the Burgundy. I think it looks fantastic in the metal and that dial is so beautifully done. I think Ming have really nailed it with this reference and I think it's one of my favorites, gotta be honest. So yeah, as I say, we've had a few of these. This is another brand new unworn example. This one's from January 2022. It does come with its full box and paperwork as you'd expect, and it's in the same condition you'd expect for an unworn watch. You can see there's one small crease in the strap. That's probably where it's been fastened to a wrist, either by the owner before he decided to put it away or by us when we've done a photograph, so just keep that in mind. But Jean Rousseau strap, beautiful high quality, incredible case, incredible finishing overall, and just an absolute dream of a watch. Obviously you've got your normal manually wound position. And interestingly, inside this is the automatic Sellita 330.M1, which actually has a second position, which is basically a GMT function to jump the hour hand independently. And beyond that, you guys pretty much already know everything about this watch from the other times we've had it. But I would always recommend heading over to the website and checking out our descriptions. We go into a lot more detail than I usually do here. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on wrist. So as you can see, 38mm by 44mm lug to lug. It's very short on that lug to lug length and beautifully proportioned. Only 10mm thick and 20mm lugs. One thing to keep in mind, these are curved spring bars and these are curved Jean Rousseau straps. So I would recommend sticking to Ming straps if you are wearing the Ming because they just fit far better. But go check this one out on the website today. From the Burgundy Ming, let's go over to my favourite Uni-matic, and the Uni-matic I would personally actually own one day, and that is the Uni-matic Norwegian Rain. I forgot the name for a second then, but let's take a closer look at this limited edition. So as I said in the intro, this is a Uni-matic I would actually consider owning in the personal collection. This is the Uni-matic Norwegian Rain with that really gorgeous, almost like oil spilt on brass. Or sort of like copper metal, I don't know, it's just really, really cool. The reaction's incredible. Each dial is unique, and we've had 5 of these, I think, total now, which is quite a few, considering they only made, I think, limited edition of 54 watches total. Absolutely gorgeous. This is number 14 of 54, by the way. And this is one of the more interesting dials of the 5 we've had in person. Some of them are very subdued, and you don't really get that crazy blue pop like you do in this one. Whereas this one's got it nice in the center and it looks fantastic. A really cool watch for sure. So the reference to this one is the U1NR, and inside is the automatic Seiko NH35A, and it's from 2021. It does come with its full box and paperwork. It is worn, but there's no signs of wear on the black case, so you can rest assured you're getting yourself a really good looking watch at a very fair price, especially when you see what a couple of other people are offering theirs out at. You know, we price fair, we price to sell. But let's show it on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my wrist. Super comfortable, especially on this NATO strap. It is 41mm by 48.5mm lug to lug, 14mm thick, which is made slightly thicker due to the NATO strap, and 22mm lugs. So endless options on the strap if you're not a fan of this. It'd be great to see one day someone make, and I don't know if they do, but make a fitted rubber strap for these cases, because a black fitted rubber would look incredible on this watch. But go check it out on the website. From there to a very underrated watch, and therefore incredible value on the secondary market, and you're going to see why when we take a closer look. That is this Tag Heuer Carrera. Next up is the Tag Heuer Carrera caliber 1887. This model is often nicknamed the 1887, but that actually refers to the movement inside, which we'll touch upon in a second. Now, as I said in the intro, incredible and undeniable value. I really do believe that. I think these Carreras offer such a fantastic look at such a great price pre-owned. Retail, I mean, there's some models that are certainly worth the money, but in general I'd say if you can buy these pre-owned, do, because you're going to save yourself a nice chunk of cash. An absolutely gorgeous silver dial. This is the reference CAR2111-3. As I said, automatic Tag Heuer caliber 1887 inside, which is a vertical clutch, column wheel, sorry, I don't think it's a vertical clutch, but it is a column wheel, as you can see right there with the blue. Really gorgeous watch. We did have this fully polished, as you can see. It looks absolutely brilliant. It does come on its original strap and point as well. This one is from November 2014. It does come with its full box and paperwork, but a really good looking watch. For not a huge amount of money pre-owned, I really would suggest you head over to the website, see the price and see how much watch you're getting. And if you're unsure on Tag Heuer as a brand, I know there's a lot of snobbery and maybe some rightfully so hate towards the brand. I would say come on into the office, book an appointment and come see it for yourself. It will surprise you. But let's show it on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist. You have to excuse the noise outside, my apologies. But there we go, 40.5mm by 49mm lug to lug, under that 50mm sweet spot I always go on about. It's 16mm thick, which sounds super thick, but it actually wears the thickness quite well. And 20mm lug, so endless options if you're not a fan of this overall look. However, I think it suits it perfectly. Maybe a brown strap would look kind of cool as well, but one to check out on the website today. From there, we've got to stick to, or go over to Seiko, not stick to, we've got to go over to Seiko, and we're going to start with the 140th anniversary edition, the 62 MAS re-edition with the bright blue dial, blue bezel, sorry. I love this watch. Let's take a closer look. So next up, a Seiko Prospex 140th anniversary re-edition of the 62 MAS with a electric deep blue bezel. It really pops. It's quite difficult to capture, but it is one shiny deep metallic blue, and it contrasts beautifully with the blue second hand and the jet white dial. Really gorgeous. As you can see, the bracelet's still fully stickered. The watch still has a sticker on the case back. It's virtually unworn, as you can see, so you're saving yourself a nice chunk of money on retail and getting yourself a virtually unworn watch, so you really can't go wrong with that. Specific reference to this one is the SPB213J1, and inside is the automatic Seiko caliber 6R35. This one's from March 2021, and it does come with its full box and paperwork, and as I say, condition is incredible, so you really can't go wrong. This watch ticks a lot of boxes, being a professional sort of dive watch, part of the Prospex line, but it's also a good looking watch that you can wear every day. Push pin holes, which is really handy, so you can swap out onto a strap. This on a dark blue rubber strap looks fantastic, so if you're not a fan of the bracelet or you want to switch it up every now and again, I'm speaking far too fast, I apologise, but if you want to switch it up every now and again, a blue rubber would look fantastic as well. Even those rubber NATOs, those single pass, they look great as well on this. But let's show on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my wrist. It sits really well. I've always liked how this watch looks. It is 40.5mm by 47.5mm lug to lug, 13.5mm thick and 20mm lug, so endless options right there if you're not a fan of the bracelet, which I will be surprised because it's actually one of the nicer bracelets from Seiko. So go check this one out on the website today. From there to another Seiko, and one I think is going to surprise a lot of you. If you get the chance to put one of these on wrist, do, because you're going to think it's way too big, and as soon as you put it on, it will surprise you. That is the Sumo. Let's take a closer look. Next up is a Seiko Sumo. What a good looking watch. Now this watch is actually part of the Prospex range, but as you can see, it doesn't have the Prospex logo on the dial, so they call this the pre-Prospex. So it makes it just that little bit more interesting, but really cool watch. Nice deep blue bezel, nice deep blue dial, all contrasting nicely against the lume plots. It's a cool watch, it's a big watch, it's a bold look, I like it, and I think a lot of you guys and girls will be surprised when you put it on wrist, because when we get to the dimensions, you're going to think it's a big watch, and by no means is it a small watch, but it wears so well considering the size. So the reference to this one is the SBDC 033. Inside beating away is the automatic Seiko caliber 6R35 underneath that caseback. This watch does come on its original bracelet. It is certainly worn, it's been well used, it's been loved. There is a couple of scratches that you can see in certain lights on the bezel and on the crystal, but it's very subtle and only in certain lights will you really notice it, so I wouldn't be too fussed by that. Nice signed screw down crown right over there, but a good looking watch, as I say. This one is from October 2015, sorry, with its full box and paperwork, but they show on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go, fitted to my wrist. As you can see, it wears nice, it's very, very comfortable. This is 44.5mm by 52mm lug to lug. It sounds massive, but I promise you this wears surprisingly well. 13.5mm thick and 20mm lug, so endless options right there. And I think the lug size actually helps with the wearability because it's a big watch, but that's quite a short lug width considering the case size. But go check this one out on the website for an absolute bargain. From there, sticking to dive watches and sticking to something I've always been a fan of, and that is this Longines HydroConquest. Let's take a closer look. So next up, the Longines HydroConquest. So I remember back in my retail days selling a lot of these, and it was always my go-to when someone asked for a good quality automatic dive watch, even their quartz ones, that didn't break the bank, and these were certainly those and still are today. The HydroConquest offers great design, great build, great heritage, and all of that in a package that is very, very affordable. This is the reference L3.64.2.4, and inside is the automatic Longines caliber L888, which is basically an ETA 2824, so a very reliable, good movement that you can't go wrong with. This one does compare on its full bracelet, which is huge, by the way. I mean, I don't know who this is going to fit, but what this model is the deep blue, electric blue, whatever you want to call it, with a sunburst dial, and it really contrasts nicely, especially against the aluminium bezel. You've got this interesting crown guard, which is the sort of point of contention for some people. They don't like it. Personally, I don't mind it. I think it actually goes with the aggressive look of the whole watch, which is really, really cool. And this one's from March 2017 with its full box and papers, and is very, very, very well priced. I suspect this won't hang around long, but they're shown on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go. You can basically fit two of my wrists in this bracelet. It's ridiculous. But here we go, 41mm by 50mm lug to lug, 11.5mm thick, which is relatively thin, and 21mm lug, so a little awkward on that lug length, but there certainly are strap options out there, so you're not limited. But the bracelet looks really great, and we can make sure we get you a nice fit with the micro adjust on the clasp right there. So go check this one out on the website today. And last but by no means least, a true vintage watch on the table. Absolutely gorgeous. One of my favourite watches we're actually selling today, and that is this BWC Courage. Let's take a closer look. So as I said in the intro, one of my favourites from this week's drop. What a beautiful example, really gorgeous. This is a BWC Courage. For those of you that don't know, BWC stands for British Watch Company, a company with quite a good heritage and unfortunately just fell off the face of the earth. And how beautifully named as well, the BWC Courage. What a cool, cool watch. You've got that gorgeous sub-dial down there, which is in all black, nicely cushion shaped, and this silver dial with the original tritium lume dots around the outside, and original tritium lume in those black hands, which contrast so well. You've got a black sub-dial with a white second hand, and you've got black hands with white lume. Well, obviously it's now patinaed, but still. Really nice case size, nice simple screw down case back, and inside is a manually wound AS caliber 1130, a very reliable movement that was used a lot back in this period. I'm talking about period, this is from 1970s, so that's when this watch dates from. So unfortunately it's impossible to date exactly, but we know it's from sometime in the 70s based on the movement, the overall look, and obviously what BWC was doing back then. But let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go. This is where this watch really shines. 35mm by 41mm look to look. Only 9mm thick and 20mm lugs. Super comfortable in its dimensions, and the 20mm lug width is quite big for a watch of this size. So it actually emphasizes the size and makes the watch appear that much bigger. So don't be put off if you think 35mm is too small. I suspect you'll be pleasantly surprised by the charm of this on wrist. So go check it out on the website today. So there you have it, guys and girls. That is this week's drop. A very varied drop from vintage under £300 all the way up to Rolex and Speedmaster with the latest editions. Absolutely love this kind of stuff. This is what we want to be able to bring. Maybe a few more vintage, and we certainly have a few in the pipeline to keep an eye out. We're also trying to work on a big deal behind the scenes, so fingers crossed by the time you're watching this, that deal is going ahead and I can get on with the process of processing all these watches. It is an entire collection basically of 80 plus watches. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave it there. But if this goes ahead and this deal can be done, it's going to be an incredible few weeks of watches, that's for sure. So keep a closer eye out, and we'll see you all again in the next episode. Take care.